going on, Jeromes? Beautiful day for some Q&A, so let's fire it up. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. First up, from Traveler OG Jerome, Andy Medeus. Nostradamus? Nah. Looking into your crystal ball, 50-50 crystal ball, Mario crystal ball, can you give us 3 high-round draft busts and 3 late-round ballots? All right, so 3 high busts and 3 late-round gems. So, no, I'm going to get in trouble. I think James Pierce, I think there's a lot of smoke around him right now. I don't know if it's going to work out. Obviously, the talent is there. Shamar Stewart, I'm worried about Stewart because the on-field production, limited. Physical traits, there. But is he going to end up like a Vernon Golston? You know, all the physical tools in the world just can't put it together on the field. And then I think if Ashton Jeanty goes to the Bears, he will falter. I don't know what it is. Where all of his skills should translate. I still think that he's RB1 in this class, but I don't know. It does factor in, like, where does he go? All right. And Jeanty, if he ends up with the Bears, I don't know, man. I don't know. And the Cowboys, too. Like, you know, the Cowboys have really tried to remake that offensive line, Tyler Smith and whatnot, but I don't know, man. 3 late-round gems. I actually like Kyle McCord's game. I know that he was sort of whatever at the Ohio State. Plus, it's funny, like, we told the story several thousand times, but McCord is the reason why J.J. McCarthy, who was a lifelong Ohio State fan, ended up in Michigan, because Ryan Day was just like, I recruited a quarterback. I got Kyle McCord. And then J.J. McCarthy's like, you know what, Ohio State, F you, I'm going to your biggest rival. And the rest is history. But McCord had a phenomenal season at Syracuse, man. I think that his game translates to the NFL quite nicely. I think he's got good touch and accuracy. I think that he processes things quick. And do I see him as a starter? No. But do I see him as like a competent high-end backup? Yes. I think that he could be that guy. Ty Robinson intrigues me a lot. So even though he's 75,000 years old, he's a man. He's an absolute man. I think that he's racked up and stacked up and can get instant pressure from any position along the D-line. I think that he's going to be a huge steal. I mean, especially given his combine, I think he may push himself into the 4th round conversation, but he's going to be a dude. Also got Rocket Sanders. So I've been a Rocket Sanders fan for a while because he's got the size, he's got the straight line speed. 6 foot 230. He's got that power as well as he's got that breakaway speed. I think that he would be a nice addition to the Vikings running back room or any running back room in general. Next, R. Free, another OG Jerome. Will Flo stick around as defense coordinator more than another year or two? He's made it clear he wants to move up. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, could the Vikings be considering him for the GM role after next season? So we've talked about Flores and his personnel background because his first couple of years in New England, He wasn't a coach. He worked in the scouting department. So, Flores, that experience obviously gives him a good eye for talent, especially on the defense side of the ball. I don't see him taking over for Kwesi, but it is something interesting down the line because say Flores wraps up his coaching career and decides to pivot to personnel. I mean, he would certainly have a leg up in that department, but he did have 3 head coaching interviews this offseason. I don't think that he really was like a finalist candidate for the Jets, for the Jaguars, or for the Bears jobs. But it's good that he was getting interviews after he got shut out of the previous offseason. But it could be a spot, too, where he ends up like Steve Spagnuolo, where Spags have been with the Chiefs for a long time, and Spags did have his chance to be a head coach, didn't work out with the Rams, but he's proven that he's one of the best defensive coordinators in league history. Frankly, Spags should get consideration for the Hall of Fame just as a defensive coordinator, if that makes sense. Because time with the Giants, they won a couple Super Bowls, obviously won a couple with the Chiefs, but could Flores end up in a similar role like that, where obviously different circumstances for the head coaching tenures, but Spagnuolo did not work out as a head coach. But Flores, I mean, he's talked about how his family loves it here, really have good connections here already, and he loves this organization. He loves Kevin O'Connell. The organization takes care of their own. His contract is reportedly up after the season. Could easily see him being extended and becoming the highest paid coordinator in the league, and he loves his defense. And I think that it's something where he could stay in place here for a couple of years, still interviewing for head coaching jobs, but also I think that he's earned the right to be picky of which job he accepts. Next, Hunter Bell. Let's take a minute to appreciate the fact that no matter what happens in Minnesota football, has a future behind the reins, a future Hall of Fame, multiple-time Super Bowl MVP quarterback J.J. McCarthy. You got to believe, especially since the Vikings not tagging Darnold, probably not keeping him in the fold. We're all in. We are all in with J.J. McCarthy. Burn the MF and boats. And guess what? We talked about this before, where if J.J. McCarthy doesn't succeed here in Minnesota, it's not because he doesn't have good coaching. It's not because he doesn't have weapons. It might be because he doesn't have an offensive line, but hopefully they're getting that fixed. It's not because he doesn't work his ass off. It'll be because he's not good enough. And that's everything, because there's so many reasons why quarterbacks don't work out in this league. And we just listed a bunch of them. Sometimes they're bad coaching, bad talent, bad whatever, or they don't work. We know that JJ has all that and he works his ass off. So if he doesn't work out at the end of the day, it's just because he's not good enough. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that kid has, from the neck up, he's elite, great mobility, great arm, threatens every single blade of grass. I think he's going to be that dude. I really do. Next, Astro and Enyo. What's your thoughts on drafting a wide receiver like Ty Felton or Thornton Jr. to compete for wide receiver 3? I do like the idea if the Vikings are able to pick up more draft capital late in the draft, taking a shot at wide receiver, because Speedy Naylor, 6th-round pick from Michigan State, he is in a contract year. And also I think the Vikings could certainly improve at punt returner over Powell. So guys I like are Eftim Chisholm from Eastern Washington, had himself a great Shrine Bowl. Dante Thornton Jr., of course, 6'5", running a 4.3. That's gonna raise some eyebrows. Now, Thornton doesn't run a full route tree, coming from that Tennessee offense, but he runs 3 routes. They're 3 pretty good routes. Just run one. Just run straight down the field. Jalen Lane for Virginia Tech, we've professed our love for him. I think that he's also ran a 4.34 vertical slot, as well as plus punt returner. And then Arian Smith from Georgia, I think, could be in that mix as well. So, yeah, the Vikings, if they check a lot of boxes and they perhaps trade down and get some more draft capital, I think that wide receiver certainly could be in that mix. Also, I think the tight end is a low-key need for the Vikings as well, depending on what happens with Josh Oliver, as well as Hockenson. His contract gets very edible after the season if he's not back at TJ Hockenson levels. Lastly, Michael Stusiak, OG Jerome, who will be, love his comments too, who will be the running backs for the Vikings in 2025? So the Vikings will re-sign Aaron Jones, will re-sign Cam Akers. They will trade down from 24 to the top end of the second round. They'll get Trevion Henderson from the Ohio State University, a.k.a. Jamal Charles, a.k.a. Dalvin Cook. Diet Dalvin Cook. But what about the power back? Don't worry about it. J.J. Pegues. That's right. So in the mid rounds, Vikings pick up Pegues, the pride of Ole Miss. Also, fullback extraordinaire. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So Pegues as your fridge adjacent power back. Also, he's got legitimate hands. Like, he was a tight end recruit coming out of Oxford, Mississippi. Eventually went to Auburn. He caught passes as a tight end from Bo Nix on the Plains. That's funny, man. And then you got Trevion Henderson. You got Aaron Jones. So Trevion is probably the best pass protecting running back in this class. I was going to say Aaron Jones can be your third down back, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work out that way. But him and Pegues, let's go. Let's go. Anyways, your thoughts are our thoughts. Vikings Q&A this beautiful day. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skol, production value.